The Liangzhu culture, an incredibly ancient, now lost, yet once highly advanced civilization, one which once dwelled on the banks of the Yangtze River Delta in eastern China. The cultural advancements of this civilization have been of archaeological interest for a number of decades, particularly due to its similarity with the growth of our own modern civilization, throwing mystery onto how this once flourishing class-driven civilization suddenly vanished. Burials were often found to have been practiced to different standards. This depended on the financial assets of the individual's family. However, nearly the entire span of this monstrous ancient civilization's ruins lay stratified. Academia has been kept busy documenting their pottery techniques and the mastery they possessed in the manipulation of jade. Yet why they simply vanished some 4,000 years ago, after flourishing unabated from 5,300 years ago, has remained a thorn in their sides, one they were seemingly unable to explain without the partial admittance of an ancient great flood, a reality which it seems they have finally surrendered to. The investigations of this ancient civilization, although not widely known outside of China, have revealed that the civilization shows all the hallmarks of the other advanced global civilizations we have been researching worldwide, most probably linked, we feel. Canal manipulation for irrigation, advanced agriculture, and many other forms of evidence, including advanced plumbing and sewage systems, all lead us to this conclusion. Quote, "Yet regardless of this single innovative millennium, the Liangzhu culture mysteriously collapsed around 4,300 years ago, and the ancient city was abruptly abandoned. Exactly why has never been fully understood, although many have suggested some form of catastrophic flooding led to the sudden decline. A thin layer of clay was found on the preserved ruins, which points to a possible connection between the demise of the advanced civilization and floods of the Yangtze River or floods from the East China Sea. Geologist Christoph Sprudel from the University of Innsbruck in Austria has finally admitted. We find such conclusions, and indeed the ruins in which they were enveloped, highly compelling." Petra, undoubtedly one of the most impressive stone-cut ancient cities on Earth. Carved into the meandering rising rock faces, within a red stone gorge in Jordan, with the mastery of the original stonecutter's abilities on full display, unfinished, possibly perceived as insignificant areas of this site. Invaluable to our investigations into their construction, as these areas still possess the initial stages of the stone-cutting procedure, patterning we have used to identify the work of the creators of these sites, by means of the tool marks they left behind, now found and identified by us at a number of different ruins all over the world. However, Petra is a place that, although used as the backing for many popular titles, the true size of the entire city, and indeed many of the lesser studied, rarely mentioned corners of the site, and the sculptures found therein, are just as impressive. Some of these areas displaying a tremendously greater age, proof of a far earlier group of stone-cut dwellings, created far earlier in history, which are found intermingled with the more recognizable structures. For not only is any logical explanation as to how such structures were originally constructed absent from the mainstream tale of events, but additionally a near-identical conundrum confronts historians regarding the temples in India, one such being that of Kailash. These temples, instead of having been cut into rising rock faces, as found in Jordan's Petra, were instead carved downwards out of the bedrock, which was no less of an incredible feat, if anything, an even more impressive accomplishment. Additionally, why structures on completely different continents, both cut out of solid rocks, would share the same tool markings, which, like a fingerprint, are now allowing said sites to finally be linked together, providing compelling evidence to support the posit of a past now lost, once highly advanced global civilization, which existed far before academically documented history. Additionally, just like that of Longyu Cave in China, yet another ancient site cut straight out of solid stone, the hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of tons of waste mortar has never been found. To create such an enormous structure is one thing, but to actually successfully transport away all of the quarried stone is a feat we feel would have taken any distant culture permitted to be studied by mainstream archaeology many years to have been accomplished. So long, in fact, that it is implausible to suggest this happened. Evidence of this would litter the sites, and many individuals would have been discovered by now, buried there, each displaying telltale injuries from what would have been an unimaginably difficult task to have accomplished. Bozda Caves in Turkey is yet another ancient site quarried from the bedrocks of Earth, which too shares the same tool marks, left by the same technology that clearly cut all of these sites, thus strongly supporting the premise that all these sites were not only cut by the same civilization, but they utilized lost yet once highly efficient technologies in the original building of these relics. Petra is a site that is thankfully remarkably sheltered, and thus remarkably well preserved, yet due to the areas clearly being of a far greater age, supports the further premise of there having been multiple past civilizations which once dwelled here. Civilization which have been and gone on our planet, which are unfortunately often dismissed or ignored, even hidden with great effort. Yet thankfully, the proof, no matter how some try to keep hidden, remains for all who can recognize them to see, proofs which we find highly compelling.
Although the Roman Empire are largely attributed with the invention of countless ingenious inventions, the truth regarding the origin of these innovations, however, may in all possibility be placed far earlier in human history. Many individual researchers, those whom are fortunately not responsible for towing lines of modern paradigm, have long claimed, just as mystery history is often posited, many said developments can in fact be identified at many other, far older ancient ruins, many predating that of the Roman Empire by millennia. These repeated earlier discoveries, along with their inexplicably rapid societal advancement, is compelling evidence to support the postulation that, just like that of the ancient Egyptians, the Romans merely adopted lost technologies, along with many ancient architectural wonders, subsequently claiming them as their own, was merely to create an illusionary air of intimidation, which would have surrounded their claimed capabilities. This fitting, if highly controversial hypothesis could undoubtedly explain the ongoing mystery surrounding the remarkable success of the ancient Romans, their empire's longevity, and ultimately, their stagnation and eventual demise. We have in the past explored the astonishing irrigation systems of pre-Incan Peru, along with that of the sewage and water systems of Pompeii. A literal time capsule, long encased in volcanic ash, not rediscovered until very recently. Yet, thanks to this incredible preservation, we were able to identify compelling anomalous features like that of the heavily rutted polygonal roadways. Specifically, we focused upon the elaborate, highly sophisticated sewage system, once placed beneath its still unexplained enigmatic roadways. A system still functional to this day, yet the most compelling of all is its metallurgy, the singular characteristic which we feel proves beyond any doubt that such exquisite systems are not the work of the well-studied Roman Empire, but are instead a relic of a far more advanced, far more technologically capable, yet now lost civilization. For although like that of the unexplained Peruvian systems, it is still functional, a testament to the constructor's past precision and workmanship, yet most interesting fact is that the pipes which served clean drinking water were all constructed from tin, while those transporting waste were made of lead. The reason why this is a compelling fact is because whoever built this system were fully aware of lead poisoning, yet the apparently more modern systems, presumably copied by Romans, were all made from lead. The reason for this is that at the time of the Roman Empire, lead poisoning was not yet understood. Cloaca Maxima, which translates as the Great Sewer, is yet another of these astonishing relics, actively being dismissed as the work of the Romans. Although its tremendous age is undeniable, and the fact that mainstream academia accepts it as having predated the Roman settlement itself, it is regardless still claimed as the work of the Romans. The Cloaca Maxima sewage system, just like that of Pompeii's and those of Peru, are all still functional to this day. This incredible longevity, we feel, is further proof of its original creator's tremendous capabilities. According to Pliny the Elder, an ancient Roman author and someone who could be perceived as one of the original funded opposition, claimed that the center section is centuries older than the surrounding system, with the entire relic claimed as having predated the empire itself by more than 500 years. Yet Pliny the Elder, who was tasked by Rome to explain the site's origins, claimed to have somehow known the intricate details surrounding who built the Great Sewer. After researching this relic, we've found large volumes of funded research concerning its past function and the claimed construction during the Roman Empire. However, regardless of this claimed tale of events, the fact that this technology, this incredibly advanced structural technique, would have been in its infancy at the time it is currently claimed as having been made, yet is still in use today and has not needed any substantial modification for over 2,000 years. How can one explain how a seemingly new technology was utilized and perfected first time during this brief window in world history? The Cloaca Maxima is undoubtedly an incredible ancient relic, one which we find highly compelling.
We have long conjectured that many ancient ruins found throughout the world are not what they seem, attributed to groups within known and permitted history. We feel, however, that the evidence to suggest that they were, in fact, relics of an as-yet unearthed advanced civilization is now overwhelming. Many sites we cover escape modern understanding or explanation. Gigantic multi-ton megaliths, often somehow mysteriously quarried and transported from quarry sites, sometimes hundreds of miles away from where we find them today. Such realities are undeniable, and the lack of any explanation as to how our more primitive ancient ancestors accomplished such tasks, we feel, remains elusive due to said site's origins actually being a far more capable, far more progressive, now lost civilization, who were clearly once capable of such incredible feats. However, although many sites are often attributed to what we perceive were mere re-inhabitants, and the archaeological footprint that they left behind, excavated and permitted to be studied in depth, pinned as the creators of said sites. However, the relic we are focusing on in the following video, an ancient artifact left by those who possibly created the site itself. Majorca, a favorite with holidaymakers, yet alas, what many do not pursue while on the island is the inexplicable stone megaliths which litter its tropical shores. Academically attested as a 3,200-year-old relic, we feel, however, that the sword, although clearly of a remarkable preservation, is in fact far older than this, and those who have investigated the site and said relic have concluded that the only possible origin of this incredible object was that of a now lost yet once highly advanced ancient civilization. Now known as the Taliot sword, it is an astonishing ancient weapon, once somehow made far within antiquity, created to incredibly high standards, and we feel the reason the sword has survived so long is merely testament to the quality of the sword and indeed the past abilities of its creator. Recently discovered by a team of experts digging at the archaeological site known as Talio de Serralda se Abeles, found within Puig-Poyent, a municipality on Majorca. The site is comprised of several stone megaliths, which are claimed to date back anywhere from 1000 to 6000 BC. We, however, hypothesize that the sword is far older than even these unusually generous, academically dated estimates. The sword was found near one of the stone megaliths, known locally as a Taliot, hence the sword's name. Built by the mysterious Taliotic culture, which we feel is the name given to lost civilization that many funded individuals continue to try and dismiss, claiming that it was located within permitted timelines. Labeled by some as the Spanish Excalibur, It is undoubtedly an incredible artifact, and one which sheds precious light upon the capabilities of a now lost civilization. Work is now underway at the site and is pegged to continue for the next few decades. Initially explored by historian and archaeologist Guillaume Bourdoy in the 1950s, it was in mid-September, as the researchers were readying the museum at the site, that the team found the sword. Who made the Taliot sword? How old are the megalithic sites upon the island of Majorca? Are we looking at an artifact left by a now lost civilization? We find the evidence to suggest such highly compelling. OOPArts, the acronym for out-of-place artifacts. Objects often found in extraordinary places, inexplicable in nature, and repeatedly dismissed by any who conform to mainstream institutional timelines for Homo sapiens. According to these, apparently already laid out chronologies specifically for man, the immense age of some of the out-of-place artifacts make their existences simply impossible to explain. The Nampa doll, for example, a favorite OOPArt of a number of antiquarians and alternative historians alike. Found deep within the Earth's sediment, pumped to the surface. Amongst this sediment, which had been resting there for at least 2 million years, this small clay figurine, even adorned with surviving details of the fashion at the time of its creation. And although fascinating, this video does not focus upon zinc vases dynamited out of stone quarries or iron pots found in 500-million-year-old coal seams, or even the imprints of chariot wheels found deep in mines in Russia. It pertains to a modest artifact, a simple mortar and pestle once found by a J.H. Neal, and although today mortar and pestles are not the most interesting of utensils, it is their extreme ages which make them remarkable finds. Confirmed as being of immense age, this mortar and pestle was found left in situ, discovered by a Mr. J.H. Neal in tertiary deposits dating back almost 33 to 55 million years. And just like that of the iron pot, found in the foundry dated at 500 million years, felt compelled to create their own personal affidavits regarding the events and the legitimacy therein, no matter how hard it was to explain. These men felt compelled to do all they could to prove the legitimacy of said discoveries. On August 2, 1890, J.H. Neal signed an affidavit swearing his discovery to have been 100% legitimate. Mr. Neal declared that it is utterly impossible that these relics could have reached the position in which they once lay, unless it was at the time the gravel was deposited and present, yet before the lava cap formed, giving a dating of around 33 million years old. How old is our species? Where do our origins lay? Within this vast, ancient, and seemingly infinite universe? Have we, as Earthlings, experienced ancient cataclysm, an amnesic event as so many ancient texts write of? If yes, then to what level of sophistication did these now lost ancient ancestors once reach? Sophistications far too advanced for any mainstream publication to ever publish. It is a reality that the continual discovery of such artifacts are slowly proving was indeed a reality, no matter how difficult it is for any institute or individual historian to accept as a reality. It is an OOPArt,